Hi,
Hi.
welcome back. If you've seen my last couple of videos, you'd know that I was talking about how when 3.2 comes out, it's going to be a shit show that Star Rail will not recover from, and for a couple specific reasons. Now, I'm not talking about story quality or event quality or anything of the sort, because quite frankly, if March isn't in the story or the event, I probably don't care about it, so I'm not going to criticize it. I'm here to discuss something more important to me, the kits of Castorice and Anaxa, along with basically everything from V1 of the 3.2 betas, are out right now. And I gotta say, it is not looking good for the future of this game. I've talked about rule-breaking kit designs in Star Rail before, and also about how they market their game very unsustainably, and they're doubling down heavily with Castorice and Anaxa's kits. In today's video, we're going to be discussing the broken parts about Castorice and Anaxa, without actually showing any gameplay if you're worried about spoilers, and why them being broken is very obviously bad for the game. We've got a lot to talk about today, so strap in. So if you want a really quick TLDR of what's going on in the beta so far, I'm just going to say that it's gonna get a whole lot worse before it gets any better at all, because we don't even have any info about character buffs yet. Now, as I said, I'm not going to show any gameplay, and I'm also not going to show any images that would be against Hoyo's TOS, because I don't want to potentially get struck by them. So if you want to find anything about the betas, go join the Expression and Discord server, and we'll have you covered there. Now, Castorice and Anaxa are very broken and very unbalanced. Now, I already spoke about this in a previous video about rule-breaking kits, and while you should definitely go watch that, I'll briefly summarize it here. Honkai Star Rail is supposed to have two rules or two standards that characters have to follow when it comes to its combat and gameplay, and those are the characters' paths and their elemental types. However, when it comes to most characters that Star Rail has been releasing after 2.0, almost every new character has been getting increasingly broken because they break either a path rule or an elemental type rule. So one of the biggest factors for power creep in Honkai Star Rail isn't necessarily raw damage numbers, but the fabrication of increase of raw damage numbers through breaking the rules of the game. This rule-breaking kit design standard also has the side effect of being very predatory and making players feel forced to pull for many new characters. Characters that broke these gameplay rules range from Acheron to Firefly to Feixiao, and that group now includes Anaxa and Castorice as well. Castorice also breaks another rule that I haven't really mentioned in the last video. Now, she is a remembrance unit, as all of us probably know, and she is supposed to be the newest strongest DPS unit in the game because she's a DPS unit that's the anniversary character. However, alongside being the newest strongest DPS unit in the game, she's also one of the strongest support units in the game and also one of the strongest healers in the game. Because not only does she apply 25% reduced all-type resistance to all enemies on the field when her Memo Sprite is active, but also grants a 10% damage boost to all allies through another part of her kit, and also, when you pull Castorice on your account, you get a free revive for every single character, whether or not Castorice is actually on the team or not. A character that is supposed to be a main DPS has no business buffing up the entire party, especially when it's such an insanely overpowered and broken buff, or debuff in the case of Castorice, as all-type resistance shred. We've seen main DPS characters do this before, but in those cases it's less severe. Acheron only reduces 20% all-type resistance when it comes to her own ultimate, and it does not affect her teammates at all, and even if it did, most of her viable teammates don't even do that much damage. Herta gives herself and her teammates 80% crit damage when there are two erudition units on the field, and while that choice is most definitely put there so you're forced to pull a really strong erudition unit for her like Anaxa, but we'll get to him later, it definitely wasn't needed because Herta can do millions of damage effortlessly anyway, and all it will do is increase HP inflation. Although 80% crit damage still isn't as significant of a buff, or again, debuff in this case, as Castorice reducing all-type resistance by 25%, and she's a main DPS unit, not a support unit. Her best teammate by far is Tribi, and with those two you have 49% resistance penetration, which means that not only can you use them anywhere in the game, whether the enemies are single target or AoE, or whether they're weak to quantum or not, but also means that they get an absolutely unfair damage boost when it comes to enemies that are quantum weak. It was already going to be the strongest team in the game without Castorice's 25% resistance penetration, trust me. She's an anniversary character, they're gonna make her strong. Then power creep her when the next character comes out, although Anaxa's kit is honestly a show, I'm not going to lie. It's probably the kit in the game that throws balance out of the window the farthest and spits in the face of anyone who has the gall to think that this game would have any semblance of quality character kit design. So Anaxa has this little cool thing in his kit where he can apply all weaknesses in the game on an enemy, and even if it does not reduce their resistances to those elements, it still leaves them susceptible to getting toughness broken by any weakness he applies. And even if you're the kind of person to not think that weakness implants are very powerful, then you don't have to look far to notice that Anaxa also gives himself 140% crit damage and the whole party a 25% damage boost, which the former is more crit damage than any support unit in the game could ever achieve. Even Sparkle, who has the highest crit damage boost, would struggle to increase a character's crit damage by 140, and the latter is a team-wide 25% extra damage if there are 2 Erudition units, because why the fuck not? Also, I still haven't touched up enough on the fact that whoever pulls for Castorice gets a free revive on all of the characters in their accounts, regardless of whether or not Castorice is in the team. So if you pull for Castorice and then not even use her whatsoever, you get a free revive once every battle and every single piece of content forever, no matter what. This is obviously very broken for many reasons that I really hope I don't have to lecture you about. It's just more stuff that they put into her kit in hopes they entice players to spend on her, without thinking about the balance of the game, which is just more unsustainable marketing they're doing, which I also explained in depth why it is bad. Basically, even if someone does not like Castorice and doesn't want to play her, they're still very incentivized to pull for her because she gives everyone, whether or not they even use Castorice or not, a free revive. That isn't balanced. Oh, and I just want to insert this after the initial recording of the script. I just kind of forgot to include this. These are obviously V1 kits, but regardless of their multipliers and numbers, the foundations of these kits are still uselessly broken. They're not going to remove Castorice's resistance penetration. They're not going to remove Anaxa applying all weaknesses in the game. I hope they do, but they've never changed the foundation of a kit so heavily, so I doubt it. I still hope they do, but I doubt it. Either way, let's continue. Now, regardless of the free revive, both of these units having such insane kits damage-wise for no reason is obviously a problem. And I've explained it briefly both in this video and in the rule-breaking kits video. However, there is a little extra thing to add here, and that is, a lot of people are going to talk about character buffs offsetting this, but those people would also be involved in some incredibly wishful thinking. First things first, if you think that they're going to make Seele anywhere comparable to even someone like Acheron, let alone Castorice, you're setting yourself up to be incredibly disappointed. Second, if they do make older units sufficiently viable to the point where they don't feel bad to play in endgame content like they do right now, it wouldn't matter, because not only will Castorice still power creep them because she does triple their damage with her 49 resistance penetration with her best team, but the characters after her will undoubtedly have increasingly broken kits, as what has been happening with this game over the past year. I was really hoping that they wouldn't make these new characters unnecessarily broken, because I promise you they would sell even better if you made them simply balanced than if you were to make them very overpowered, because people don't like feeling forced to pull for anything. I'm more than convinced that by the end of the 3.x update, even though he is not a Herdabot specifically, Anaxa will be what Jiaozhou is to Acheron or what Robin is to Fei Xiao, and will be basically the only thing saving her from becoming a T0.5 or even T1 unit, because Castorice, Phaenon, and their support units, and also whatever else DPS unit they release, would triple her damage otherwise. I'm also really not excited to listen to any of the people doom posting the shit out of both of these two characters because they want broken units. I've already seen some people doom post the fact that Castorice doesn't have 100% uptime, and that's kinda ridiculous. I guarantee you some people are going to find some other nitpicks about Castorice's kit and start calling her ass and not worth it and worse than Herda by a mile because of some small thing, and how some other guy is going to somehow try and explain how Anaxa is worse than Jade. We've already seen Tribi get so heavily doom posted after V5 that they had to hotfix her and give her a buff that she would have been perfectly fine, but also still very powerful unit without. Endgame is definitely the most important factor for me when it comes to most games. As I said in the intro, if the story and events don't have March, I probably don't care about them. I won't say that 3.2 is going to suck just because I don't care for the story. The story is probably going to be great, especially if they do implement the changes they said they were going to. However, what a lot of people overlook when it comes to a new update quality is actually character balance. New characters being balanced is insanely important, and with Star Rail, almost every single new character has to be an upgrade over the previous one, and it just gets insanely tedious to keep up with, especially when not only does the game not give you enough resources to do so, but sometimes you just want to sit with your favorite characters you got back in 1.x and clear the content, and in this game you just can't, even sometimes if you do have their best support units. and that just doesn't feel good. Now I have more to say about this topic and many other topics as well, but I'm going to leave it to the next video. For now, this is gonna be it. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for the next video that's coming soon. But I have a very strong feeling that if you're looking specifically for Star Rail content, you probably shouldn't subscribe because if 3.2 continues going this way, I'm outta here. I'm becoming a variety channel instead. Either way, you should join the Express Train Discord server because it's not just about Star Rail, it's about everything from video games to anime to real-life general chats. Click the link below because I'll be expecting you there. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time.